Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wired Nerdy podcast. This is episode number 31. My name is Keith. I am here joined with my good friend Doug. Doug, how is this week treating you?
It's going good. A lot of movies to talk about, a lot of tech reveals this month, next month, maybe the month after, but definitely this month, next month. Big tech reveals that we're going to get into.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff. And that's a part of it's kind of a good point. Part of our nerd news is one of them is Doug actually dropped it in there. Some upcoming movies coming out that I had no clue were going to hit the theaters. And so there's some pretty good ones, which we'll talk about here. But let's first cue up the nerd news and get into it.
Nerd News.
Now, let me go ahead and get our share going here. All right. Right off the bat, this was big news, man. I'll take this one if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Unity is a video game engine, and there's a lot of these out there, but there's some that are more popular than others. The biggest one definitely is Unity and Unreal, and a few others that they actually have. But Unity is used by the indie gaming community, so it's really easy to learn. It allows you to fast track your development. It allows you to program faster, and it's very, very popular. And there are some major, big independent games that use the Unity game engine, and they've had huge success. Well, the CEO and the company overall made an announcement in which Unity is changing their pricing scheme, and they're going to have something called a runtime fee. That essentially means that every time the game is installed, something runs in the background and it charges the developer, the creator of the game. So that means even if you bought the game once, you spent, let's say, $30 and you bought it off Steam or any service for that matter, you install it on your computer. Well, whenever that install goes in and you launch it, it charges, so many cents, like 50 cents, a dollar, something like that. And they have the pricing instructions, out there. Then if you install it again on another computer or on your Steam Deck, your handheld, it does the same thing, charges them again. And so it was big to do, and all the developers got really, really angry because it discourages, using the actual engine. And so a lot of developers are talking about leaving it all together. They're very, very angry. And there's, developers putting all types of warnings about, hey, we're going to pull our game when this hits, and later this year we're gonna pull our game. So if you want to go buy it now, because one said, hey, you better buy Cult of Lamb now because we're deleting it on January 1. And so it's been a huge backlash. Of course, they've tried to walk it back a little bit, but it's still there. All kinds of criticisms, about greed and that sort of thing. What I found was interesting was the CEO of Unity used to be the CEO of Electronic Arts. And if you don't know much about Electronic Arts, they made famous something called microtransactions, which is a good way to make a lot of money. And in a board meeting, when he used to work at EA back circa 2009, he pitched the idea, just to give you an idea of what his mentality is. He pitched the idea of, in games like Call of Duty, every time you would reload your clip, it would cost you $1 in a game.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They actually had a presentation on, they talked about, should they do that as a microtransaction? So a lot of people aren't really surprised because this guy is very big on microtransactions and he's very big on money monetization and not really that big on game development itself. So it's been a big backlash and to do. So I'm not sure if you heard about this, Doug, at all, but there was a big thing in the gaming community this past week.
No, I have not heard of it. I read the article and I just thought, this is another company trying to hurt, and it only hurts, I think, the smaller developers,
It
the
does.
smaller indie games. It doesn't hurt, EA and Microsoft and all those because they have the money and the capital to pay off that little fee. So it's only hurting these indie gamers and indie development studios.
Or they're
And
using
I'm
their own,
glad you, yeah,
engine. That's the other thing. They may be using their own engine too, so they're not going to get hit with this anyway. But you're right.
yeah.
It's predominantly indie. Hope you're spot on.
And bringing up Electronic Arts, if you look at the history of Electronic Arts, they like to not to pick on Walmart. They do the Walmart effect. They buy these mom and pop shop games and then they shut them down.
Yep.
Westwood Studios for
Oh yeah.
Command and Conquer. The list goes on, but that's the one that annoyed me. And Sierra Online,
Hmm.
I believe they bought them as well. It's just these mega game developers are not for the fans. I think they're for the profit.
Yeah, and no one's denying that it's a business. You got to make money, of course.
Yeah.
However, but this one really hurts because a lot of young people can learn Unity and how to game develop, and it's really their learning opportunity to cut their teeth and to
Yeah.
step their foot into programming. And so it's almost like it's like an educational thing at this point. It's being it's going to price gouge them out. So
Yeah.
very sad. So hopefully there'll be enough of an upcry and outrage that Unity will think twice and step back from this. So,
Yep. Hopefully.
all right, my friend, you get the next one. This is a fun one.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be a wired nerdy podcast or show without talking about a little AI. So I kind of read this story, and my thought was it's the meeting of the minds. It's like that scene in Godfather where all the families come together. But in all seriousness, the big tech leaders, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Sundar Pichai, I believe.
Yeah.
If I Google.
Oh,
Yep.
Google. Sorry, Google.
Yep.
Yes.
So they all get together with Congress and talk about the future of AI and the possible threat that it is for our country and our community. I believe it's a very important discussion. I think AI has gone in the last 2 or 3 years way faster than any of us have realized. With the introduction of Chat GPT, now it's affecting our schools and maybe jobs, military infrastructure, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on this meeting?
Definitely. So it's funny because this year we have been saying all along that it would not be news if it wasn't for an AI thing because we've had such huge advancements. And this is on the eve. You have to remember too that we're at Chat GPT 4.0 right now, which is what blew everybody's minds.
Yep.
There is a Open AI summit or conference they're going to have in November. The rumor is they're going to be announcing ChatGPT 5.0. On top of that, last episode, we were talking about Apple was double downing on investing in an AI called Ajax that they claim to be far more superior to ChatGPT. So there's this, it's like an arms race almost between these tech companies in trying to invest in generative AI and to decide, how we want to use it. But it's really interesting because there's a lot of people who are alarmists and some people who are not. So I think it's good they're having these conversations. It's funny. Elon Musk for a long time has always been a bit of an alarmist with AI. And the quote was, "There's some chance above zero that AI will kill us all. I think it's low, but there's some chance," Musk told reporters. "The consequences of getting AI wrong are severe." And then you have others, that play it off like, no, it's just another tool, kind of like the internet. And yes, it's going to change things, but we can add value. It can help us solve cancer and all kinds of other things, And so, and then some people take middle of the road. One of the other quotes in there is that you want to be able to maximize the benefits and minimize the harm. Said this is Schumer, who was one of the politicians who organized the session, and that will be our most difficult job, which is true. I mean, overall, I do have to agree with that. So it was interesting when you have all these people come together because it's rare that they get together in this form and fashion, especially in the tech industry. So I think it's good they're having these conversations. I doubt much came of it, to be honest with you. If anything, it's more showing up is to show your pledge that, hey, as tech companies, Google, IBM, Microsoft, OpenAI, all of these, Tesla, they're all promising that they are going to, try to be responsible with this technology. So it'll be interesting to see how all this stuff plays out. I think it's fascinating, and I think we will have quite a bit of time until the industry catches up and realizes just exactly how they want to use AI. I personally believe the turning point will be the moment that Amazon and the moment that Google and the moment that Apple, particularly the ones with the three major assistants, digital assistants, when they integrate ChatGPT into those digital assistants, that's where I think it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going to really see exponential growth. We're going to see it. And then you'll also see it whenever they integrate it into video games for NPCs, which people are already kind of doing. There's a mod for Skyrim in which they put chat GPT in. And so you can have these conversations with characters and actually remember what you say and things like that. So it's interesting.
It is. And there a lot of things have been said in this conference. One of the best quotes I thought is basically, to sum it up, let's keep a watchful eye over them. But when it comes to AI, we shouldn't be thinking about autopilot. You need to have copilot. So what's going to be watching this activity and making sure it's done correctly?
Yeah.
So I like that they're kind of thinking about, well, AI can be beneficial, but we have to watch it. We have to monitor it and make sure it doesn't get out of control.
Yeah, checks and balances. So I think they'll figure it out. I really do. I'm optimistic. If not, I welcome our AI overlords.
So you say that, I make the joke again that every time I talk to my Alexa, I had a Google Home before, I was always nice and said thanks.
Yeah.
So for the AI that is listening to our podcast, I've been nice to you and said
we're a
thanks.
fan. We're a fan.
Yeah,
We're a fan.
yeah.
Yeah. Keep
We
keep
come
us
in
on.
peace. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be your propaganda machine if that's what you want.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's get into the next one, man. This is something you dropped on the list, and it honestly really surprised me because I have not been paying attention to the upcoming films. So upcoming movies, and we're just going to focus on a small window here. Okay, Doug, I'm going to let you run down this list. Tell me, what are the ones that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, October looks to be a good month. One of the main ones that stuck out for me was Killers of the Flower Moon. When I look at a movie, I kind of look at who the stars are, and that really grabs my attention. And then I go into what the movie's about. So, I mean, it's Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons. He's been in some Westerns, and I believe he's in Sons of Anarchy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Robert De Niro, Brendan Fraser. I mean, the list goes on.
It's a great cast. Jeez.
It's a great cast. The concept of it is 1920s Osage Native American tribe start getting murdered after oil is found on the land the FBI investigates. So I think with that cast, with Scorsese, it's going to be a really good one.
I hadn't heard of this. It looks amazing. And it said it was Apple. So I wonder if it's going to come out on Apple Plus versus a theatrical release, which is awesome.
It might. They've been having some exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one that I don't have on the list that you just reminded me about is, have you seen Band of Brothers and the Pacific?
Yeah. Those
So Apple is actually bringing another one about the bombing wing.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Very cool.
So we'll have to look out for that one. I believe it's next year. It's called Masters of the Air.
Okay, cool. We'll have to check that out.
I believe it was delayed. It says late 2023, but I believe it was delayed. So,
and I would suspect that some of these, depending on where they're at in development, may still shift, especially with the writer's strike right now. But some of these may have already been through post-production, and so that's why they're going to make the list. So, yeah, awesome. What else are you looking forward to on there?
Yeah, so going down the list to November, quite a few. The Marvels, another sequel in that Marvel franchise. Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, this is kind of the origin story of President Snow. Mm-hmm. And maybe the 14th or 15th Hunger Games, way back when Snow was a teenager, looks like.
Yeah, this was a book. I know my daughter read it. She really enjoyed it. It's a prequel. It explains President Snow. And it looks really good. And these movies were really good. I read the books. As usual, I kind of have a lean towards the books because they give you more detail, but they were excellent. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out as well. I think it'd be good. It also explains how they kind of got this whole thing started, which was a fascinating story.
Yeah, and I think to look behind the man, President Snow, you're going to kind of see how he thought and the others. And then it would be good, I think, to watch this origin story and then go back and say, not that we're going to side with him and be on his side, but you'll definitely know kind of what he's thinking.
Yeah, or what made him what he was. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Or he may just be a complete turd. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, he may be. You never know.
What else you got on your list, man?
All right. The next one is Napoleon. And
I think that's right
Joaquin Phoenix is playing Napoleon.
Oh
It
yeah.
just looks amazing, you know.
Yep. And he got my attention. He's always been really good. He's obviously the brother of River Phoenix, who passed away very early. Was
Mhm.
also very talented.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But Gladiator, man, like that's the first time I took
Yes.
notice of him was when he was in Gladiator. He was amazing in M. Night Shyamalan's Signs. So
Yes.
good as as the brother. The Joker, holy
Mhm.
moly, he's so good in that. So,
I believe he played Johnny Cash as well.
oh, he did, yeah. Walk the Line, oh, great movie.
Yes,
So
that
yeah,
was
he's
a
had
great movie.
now he's a full on method actor. He's like one of those weird
Yeah.
people that like
He gets
completely
in
pull it in.
pretty deep.
He does. Now I love that Ridley Scott's doing this. Ridley Scott, of course, did Alien. Ridley Scott did Gladiator, and that's probably part of the reason why he, casted him as Napoleon.
Yes.
Napoleon, the only oddity to me that I will say is Napoleon's supposed to be really short, and of course in the trailer, nobody has an accent. If they
Yeah.
do, it's British instead of French. So I don't know. You got to let go of some of those details, though, Keith, and just kind of enjoy the movie because I'm pretty sure it'll be good. So,
Yeah, it's very exciting. So that's my picks for November. December we have Willy Wonka. Now this is not a sequel.
oh
This
yeah,
is a prequel. This is kind of going back to when Willy Wonka first started the company, the Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. So
and it has Timothy. I'm going to butcher his last name. Schlamont.
Chalamet or
Chalamet.
something.
I think Leah's probably yelling at me right now. My daughter.
Uh-oh.
No, he was Dune, right? He's in Dune.
Mhm.
Most recently, one of his big things, and so yeah, he's playing Wonka. And I remember there was an uproar about this because a lot of little people were upset because they did not use little people for the Oompa Loompas. They just took Hugh Grant of all people's head and CG'd it on a tiny body, a CG body, and then multiplied it, and so it lessened the amount of jobs that little people had in Hollywood, which are not a lot. And so it was an interesting article that I had read about that. So already some little bit of controversy,
It is. Yep.
but it'll be interesting.
It will be. So that kind of wraps up. Well, I forgot one more. Aquaman. I've kind of skipped over that. I wasn't too much into Aquaman. I'm not
It's
really
a
a
great
DC
movie.
comic guy.
What? Oh
I
man,
know.
I
I'm
can't be
probably
your
gonna
friend
get some hate
anymore.
for that.
I can't be your
Uh,
friend anymore. I need everybody. I need a co-host. I'm gonna put it out on LinkedIn. I'm gonna
I mean,
fire Doug.
Superman, Batman, cool. Aquaman,
Come on. Well, I get it. Until Jason Momoa became Aquaman, then he made it cool. So,
Well, yeah, yeah,
but no, the Aquaman movies are good.
yeah.
And the director, oh my God, is Juan is his last name, and he does such a great job with these. And you should. Did you ever watch the first one?
I did. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Just the Marvel catches my attention. I don't know.
my goodness,
I'm not
people.
winning any points over here.
He's not. He's getting a major downgrade in my book right now.
Dang.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I love both of them, but
Yeah.
DC has a special place in my heart. It's a little more fantastical, and that's what I like. It's a little bit more over the top. Where DC's more or Marvel's more realistic. More grounded in the real world, and I appreciate that. But you can tell a different type of story when something's over the top like DC. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
James Wan, that's his name. He's amazing. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great.
So that kind of wraps up 2023. I believe 2024, we will talk about a lot of these movies coming up. They don't have exact dates yet. So I'm going to kind of run through the list unless you find them on there. The first one
Go
that
ahead.
really grabs my attention is the Joker 2. And I
Yeah,
believe that
gonna
Lady Gaga is going to play
Harley Quinn. I don't know how I feel
Harley
about
Quinn.
that. I don't know. Lady
Yeah, I'm not
Gaga's
seeing it in
talented
the
and
list.
all.
I don't know that it has a date yet.
Yeah, a lot of these may get bumped. The one that was supposed to be October, but it's not on the list. But you go to their website. The one call that I had was Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Let me put that in here.
Now it said 23, but I believe it has been pushed back.
Afterlife.
Well,
No,
it's
Afterlife was.
Afterlife 2.
Yeah, it's got another name. Afterlife sequel. It says. Yeah, is it 2? Yeah, I think you're right. Afterlife 2. It's really odd that they call it Afterlife 2 and not give it a new name.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
So it might be a victim of, if you say victim, the writer strike. So what I have here on Google, I don't know if it's right, is March 29th of 24.
Definitely got pushed then. Yeah. It was supposed to be the October time. Yep, you're right. March 29th, according to Variety. So I loved Afterlife. I thought it was
I thought it was great.
superbly
It's a
done.
return to the
Oh,
original
so good.
and the awesome
It's
sauce.
done by
Yeah.
Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman,
Yep.
carrying on his dad's legacy. And I loved it. I thought it was so good. So I'm excited for this to bring back the firehouse. They actually bringing that up bad boy back. You're gonna have Ernie back in this. Ernie Hudson, I think his name was the character was.
Mm-hmm.
So man, I love the nostalgia. There's Jason Reitman, but dude, just awesome. Absolutely excited about this film. So it won't be in the fall, but hey, I can wait. There's some other ones coming up here. So
Absolutely.
all right, let's move on to our next one. We had an Apple event that took
We
place.
did.
There was a lot of stuff in this, so we'll just gloss over a lot of it because there's tons of content there. But the iPhone 15 is a big announcement, with a new A17 chip. They're also flipping over to USB-C, dropping the old Lightning plug, which is a good thing, I believe. The Apple Watch Series 9. And then, of course, they were pushing a lot of their green initiatives, trying to be carbon neutral and things like that. What was interesting about the Apple Watch, which, I didn't see it on our list there, but it has motion controls for the Series 9s where you can answer it by going like that. So if you get an incoming call, you just do your index and your finger together. You can answer it, or you can snooze if you have a alarm clock or whatever. My thing is, I talk with my hands. What if I get a phone call and accidentally do that or something? Is it going to do something?
You'll be hanging up, calling people,
I
sending
will.
texts.
Instead of butt dialing, it's finger dialing. I guess I don't know. It'll be something like that. So, did you check this out? I mean, I know you're an Android guy, but do you watch? You do like these keynotes, though? You once said. Did you watch this? What were your thoughts of it?
I did. I like keynotes. It's that company's time to shine. It's saying, hey, this is what we've been working for months and months and months. It's had code names. It's had secret rooms we meet in. And this is what we've come up with. I go back even now to watch the first iPhone release. And I know I've talked about this several times on the podcast, but just Steve Jobs saying it's a phone. It's a internet device. So just kind of the flair of this is an awesome product.
Yeah, and it's funny people because they were posting on the internet. Steve Ballmer, who was the CEO of Microsoft, right after the announcement of the iPhone, was making fun of it and say it'll never take off. No one's ever going to want that, And he's like criticizing it very publicly. Of course, they were competitors, so you kind of get it. But it did not age very well because it obviously did take off because pre-orders are always through the roof. And so, yeah, I thought it was interesting. They're pushing the gaming thing. I noticed Apple's never been a gaming platform, right?
No.
But
they
their
talked
chips
about ray tracing a lot. Yeah,
they did, but their chips are getting to a point where they are very, very impressive. And they're talking about GPU and what you can do with the camera. But they even said that Resident Evil will be able to run natively. The new Resident Evil, the remake version 4, and then Village will be able to run natively on the iPhone. So it's interesting.
Is impressive.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. It's really cool. So they, I don't know, they're pushing the gaming angle. So it's fascinating. Their chips are definitely very, very impressive. Their cameras are getting more impressive. Definitely a lot of innovation here. The one honorable mention that I thought was cool, you and I were talking about the other night, was the satellite communications that they're putting into phones. So they showed a partnership with AAA so that if you get stranded on the side of the road, you have no cell signal, no Wi-Fi, you can actually link out for roadside assistance, but through satellites. And they're building that in. Yeah, both to the watch and to the phone. And so that's a pretty cool thing. I think that's neat. Because it talks about an emergency right here. Roadside assistance. Yeah. iPhone has emergency SOS via satellite and crash detection. That's cool. So keeping people safe.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So I like it. Everybody wins.
That kind of takes us to our main topic today.
It really, really does.
That's a good segue.
Yeah. So after our last particular, I'll stop sharing there for a moment. After our last episode that we had, my father-in-law reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I got a topic suggestion for you." So shout out to you, Chuck, for the cool topic suggestion. And it's GPS, global positioning satellite devices. Now, we want to give a disclaimer. We don't want you to take this information, use it for ill will. Don't go tracking any X's and be creepy with
No,
stalkers
yeah,
or
don't
anything
do
like that. This is for safety reasons. My father-in-law's use case, he's a motorcyclist and he takes cross-country rides. And it's a scenario in that whether it is something happens to him or whether something happens at home or, being able to know where he is. You're on a bike, you have a helmet, you're not going to be texting when you're on a motorcycle, you're going cross country. And to have the ability to have your family members be able to pull up an app and be able to see where you are at all times, all those kinds of things is his use case. And so now you do have, as honorable mentions, I will say, you do have built in, like if you're in the iPhone ecosystem where everybody has an iPhone, you can do Find My. And now it's not real time, but it's pretty close. It updates every few seconds, right? We use that to help track, our kids, our teenagers when they're driving, things like that. My wife and I, so she knows where I'm at. She knows I arrive safely, all those kinds of things. So those work really well when you're in the ecosystem. And Android has a rendition of that as well. Now, for that particular use case, I mean, you're on a motorcycle, you're driving fast. It's probably not going to, fit exact your needs, especially if you're in a household where you have one person has an Android, one person has an iOS, and you have a mixed devices. You need something that work across the board. So Doug and I dug into it and we did a little bit of research on some suggestions. If you're needing some type of a solution, like my father-in-law, for GPS, what's a good option for you for GPS tracking to help, allow your loved ones to see where you are? So Doug, I'll let you take it from there. I'll share out my screen. Which one you want to jump into first? You found some interesting things that I did not find. So I'm gonna let you go for you went like Gucci high level, expensive, fancy
Yeah.
military grade. Maybe it's because you're a cop. I don't know. But you went like NASA level. Me, I kept like budget low end. So we're gonna do two opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm gonna let you do the Gucci fancy high end
Yeah.
version first. So you which one you want to talk about first, and I'll share it out.
Well, I only found one really that I think works really good, and that is the Garmin InReach.
Okay,
If you can throw that up for
I
us.
will.
So I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I read a lot of articles this week, kind of researching GPS and communications. So I believe his complaint was worrying about cell phone service. Well, the satellite communications is not on iPhones and Androids yet, but I think that might be his best option in the future. Excuse me. So for now, I have found this InReach Mini 2 by Garmin. As many know, Garmin has been making GPS for years and years and years. Back when GPS units for cars were big, I had one, but the problem was you always had to update your maps or buy new maps. I think that's a thing of the past now. They just let you download maps. But
Yeah.
back to this InReach 2, the thing that I liked about it is you can share it with your family, but then you can also send text messages while you're on your trip. Some of them can be planned, so kind of a planned check in, and then you can respond back to them. I believe the downfall might be that it has a subscription plan, but to what doesn't have a subscription anymore
Yeah.
nowadays?
Most third party. That's what I found.
Yeah.
Like if anything not outside of your ecosystem, you're going to have a subscription plan. That's the downside. It depends on how
Yeah.
much. But you are right. This thing, I've got it playing here, this little video, but it's all satellite based. You can emergency send SOS. You can connect to those in Matter without cell coverage with messaging, text messaging. It also has weather, compass. So like these people, like they're climbing mountains and stuff. Dude, this would be a
Mhm.
game changer. This is pretty nice, and it's ruggedized. So it can get wet, especially if you're on a motorcycle and it's raining. I mean, it's pretty cool. And then I think it's an app you just put on either Android or iOS. So it's cross platform and any loved one that you have in the permission sets can see where you are. This is a cool device. I didn't know it existed. Now it's pricey. It's like $400,
Yeah.
right? It's essentially a satellite based device though. So it's going to be pretty accurate. You're going to have coverage everywhere because there's satellites
Oh,
all
yeah.
above us. Battery life, 14 days to use the default 10-minute tracking mode and up to 30
So
days
it's
with a
not an
30-minute
Android.
tracking mode. No. It's got awesome. It's got a digital compass, trace back routing. So if you ever drop a pin and need to go back, so you don't get lost, especially if you're hiking. That would be good. InReach weather forecast servicing. It says get detailed weather updates when paired to compatible devices. You can even request forecasts for your current location and other waypoint destinations, so you can do weather
Yeah.
planning along your way. And unlimited cloud storage and trip planning. Again, this would be really good if you're going cross country on a trip or if you're out traveling. So it's expensive, high end, but I bet this bad boy works really, really well. Now it's $400, and then you have the subscription plan, right?
Yeah.
So
And that might be the downfall. I believe if he's on a motorcycle, the best of my knowledge, you can get to some rural areas with not a lot of cell phone coverage. But for the most part, I think he might be better and cheaper to go with some kind of like Apple Maps tracker or Google tracker. So I had the instructions here we can go through just on Google Maps.
yep. The only
And
downside of that, I think, with his use case was he's in a household where not everybody's in the same ecosystem.
oh, okay. Yep.
So if you use, again, that only works if you and I were in the same household and I want to track you, I'd also have to have an Android if you have an Android, or vice versa.
Yep.
That's the
makes sense.
only downside to that. It is a good alternative. It's what I do with my teens. They all have iPhones. I have an iPhone. It's a decent alternative. But it's didn't quite match if you're going to have different platforming though.
That makes total sense. So
Yeah. And you're looking at $14 for a monthly plan. They give you a little bit of price break. If you do an annual contract, it's only $12. Not bad. And then they have different categories: safety, recreation, and expedition. And it gives you text messaging limitations. I mean, it's another device. Let's just call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's a cool device if it fits your needs and you really need something high end. So now you did have another one on here I wanted to ask you about, and it is Zoleo. This was another one you
Yeah.
put on the list. What's up with this one?
I looked at it and it seems to be similar to the Garmin. It connects to your phone, does some satellite communications. I don't know much about it. I watched a couple videos. They didn't really talk about it. Everybody kind of favored the Garmin, but it's got some awards.
Okay. So it's an up and
It's
comer.
won some consumer awards. Hunt Alaska, so like an outdoorsman hunting association.
okay.
They won awards for tracking.
Okay. So it's similar,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look like maybe it's quite the same features. You got a check-in button you just push, it looks like, to check in with
It
loved ones, let
seems
them know you're
more,
okay,
yeah, a
SOS. A
little
little
more
more basic.
simple, not a digital screen.
Yep. But they can
Kind of
see where
some
you are.
hardware buttons to push
Yep.
instead of browsing through a screen, browsing through menus. So it might be simpler to use.
That's true. One button push and it shares your GPS coordinates. Looks like through text messaging, actually, or it's through an app, it looks like.
Yeah.
Of course, you can create a secure map and share your URLs of your path and where you've been and where you're going. So I don't know. It's probably not quite as complex, but may not be a bad alternative. They got mounts
No.
for it, whether it's for a backpack or for a car. I'm curious about the cost. Let's see here. We're going to do some real-time shopping.
Yeah.
Hey, Bass Pro has them.
Hey, there we go.
Let's see if we go straight to it. It's currently not available. I wonder if it's not out yet, because I'm curious about cost. Yeah, I'm not seeing
And I
it.
think I had trouble finding the price.
But maybe it's not out yet. Like officially. If you go to Amazon, come on, you gotta have it. Amazon, don't you?
Oh, there we go.
$200.
Amazon. Yeah.
There we go. Good old Amazon coming through
So
for
you're
us.
already saving money over the Garmin InReach.
Yep. It's Android and iOS.
So there you go.
So-
Compatible with the household there.
Yep. So that's good. I'm sure there's probably a subscription service though, which we'd have to probably look on their site to see. Battery life 200 hours. It's rechargeable. Not bad. It's pretty lightweight, only 5 ounces. So yeah, maybe this is an honorable mention. Maybe it's not nearly as fancy as the Garmin InReach, but I do definitely think that I would call this, more middle of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Garmin is Gucci, high end, fancy, all in, and then this is middle of the road. And then if I were to go with the cheap ones, Car Driver, this is really for car tracking is where I started, and I did share this with him, and it does have the AirTag mention, and it has best for families, best. But the call out was best overall was something called a bouncy. Now, the thing about this, it won't work for his situation because this plugs into your car's, computer port. So it's for a car specifically. Other than that, the Spytech GL300, which is
Oh, it's
15
fancy.
bucks. It's 15
Yeah.
bucks. Now, I don't know how good this is, but it is good for tracking vehicles, cars, trucks. And there's an app with it so that you can see where things are going. Now, this is definitely low end and price wise, and there is going to be a subscription now. I thought it was pricey. So $30 for a standard plan, ouch. So they make up for, it's a cheap device. It's only, normally $20 is 15 right now with an Amazon sale, but I thought that subscription rate was a little high. But you get live tracking, you get, 5-second pings, so that, it's pretty close to real time. Chat and email support, you get a free tracker upgrade if you jump up to the flex plan, the $25, or you drop down to the $25 one. So it's the best value they have. So either way, this is okay. If you just had a situation where it's very light and you just want to track a vehicle of some sort, like shipping, if you're manufacturing, that sort of things. But it might work for a scenario if you're going cross country on a trip or that sort of thing. But it's definitely not as high end as the ones that you found. So you went high tech with your satellite
Well,
tracking.
we've got to have a wide range. We have a loyal fan asked us for some advice.
And
We
you
got
want to,
to make sure we give them all the options
it's
available.
true. We,
So,
we did a high end, we did a middle, and we
yep,
did a low. Now the downside is you can't get away from the subscription model because
that's unfortunate.
it's
I
on
think
all of
that's
them.
coming to everything. Yeah.
Well, and the only way is to get away from that is to stay in the ecosystem. Everybody have an Android, everybody have a phone, but yet it may not be quite as robust as some of these as well. So
Hmm.
that's the downside. Is you're going to get trapped into a subscription service of some sort. So, but this was an awesome topic, and what I really liked about it was how much I learned, because I didn't realize how far these GPS trackers have gotten in advancements, and I think it's really, really cool that they're doing that. Now, you had put on the list here that I want to call out that you have family that uses GPS for hunting. Is that right?
Yeah. So I would
How?
say more than 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago, my father had a GPS unit. And it was interesting because I believe he was the only one to have it in our family. So he had bought a little Garmin GPS unit. And what he would do is he went trapping and hunting. He would mark all his traps for beaver and fox, coyote, all that stuff. And then he'd also mark his deer stands on a large, like 80 to 100 acre property.
Okay.
So
So he
it
was
was really good. It was very rudimentary, just a black and gray screen. But I mean, it tracked you right to your truck. He would mark his truck when he went
sweet.
hunting that day.
So you don't get lost. You know where your traps are, so you're not
Yep.
wandering around. You know where your stands are. That's really cool, especially if you have a lot of property. And that was how many years ago?
Oh, I mean, at least 15, 20. I'd have
Hmm.
to look up the product.
I wonder if he had a subscription service back then.
I don't think he did. I think you kind of, and it showed you like a crude animation of you connecting to at least 6 satellites.
Well,
If
that's
you
cool.
got 5 or less, then your signal is terrible. And it,
Hmm.
like, here's your icon over here, and it puts your person like 30 feet to the left or to the right. So it wasn't too accurate.
Wow, I bet they've come
Technology has risen
a
big
long
time.
way. Now it's probably within inches.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool. You put that in there, and I thought that was a pretty neat thing that I hadn't heard of. So that's neat. So yeah, thanks to Chuck for the awesome topic.
Yeah,
I learned a
definitely.
lot. Doug, you taught me a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
I,
You found all
I
the really
never
fancy
thought to
stuff.
look that up. I learned all kinds of stuff.
So yeah, it was a great topic. So I really appreciate it. So we thank you. All right. So as always, if anybody like my father-in-law Chuck has any cool things, reach out to us. You can put it in the comments on YouTube. If you know us personally, you can send us messages personally. There's all kinds of ways of getting a hold of us. And of course, if you are starting to head into, we're recording this close to the fall time. You mentioned last time it's getting kind of cool. So, if you want to get some swag, I got my cool little
Yeah.
wired nerdy cup here. If you want to get a hoodie, it's that time of year. Maybe get a hat, stocking hat. Go on out to our website, pick up some merch, help support our podcast and help us keep having a good time here. So that will round it out for this episode number 31. Doug, bring us home, man. What are your last thoughts?
Yep. Thanks to your father-in-law for giving us a great topic. Again, like, subscribe, listen to us, give us some ideas. We love talking about technology, anything nerdy, geeky, all those key phrases and stuff. We're getting into fall and some more holidays, but we're going to continue to deliver good episodes for you guys. We're having a blast.
That's right. You all have a great week, and we will catch you at the next episode. And you take care of
Yep.
yourselves. Talk to you soon.
See ya.